In this video, let us learn two-dimensional array. So now we need to start learning the two-dimensional array. The 2D array represents a matrix. It has rows and columns. The 2D array represents matrix. It has rows and columns. Suppose if we can take an example of 2D array. Suppose it is an integer 2D array. So your data type is int. The array name is ARR. So we are using two rectangular brackets in the left hand side is equal to new is the operator. It allocates memory to an array. Okay. Next int 2 and 3. The 2 indicates the number of rows. The first integer value represents the number of rows. The second integer value represents the number of columns. So how it was storing the elements? It contains two rows because rows starts with 0, and since it is a two rows 0 1, it has three columns 0 1 2. So it is so the elements will be stored ARR of 0 0. It is the first element. ARR of 0 1. It means first row, second element. ARR of 0 2. In the first row, third element. Similar way, ARR of 1 0. It represents in the second row, first element. Again, ARR of 1. This represents second row, second element. ARR of 1 and 2. It represents second row, third element. So how we can able to declare? How to declare 2D array? So if it is a byte array, byte x is equal to new byte of 2 3. It contains 2 rows and 3 columns. Suppose if it is a short array, is equal to new short of 3 3. It contains 3 rows and 3 columns. If it is an integer array, new int of 2 2. It indicates it contains 2 rows and 3 columns. You can provide any number of rows and any number of columns. So long b is equal to new long of 2 3. It contains 2 rows and 3 columns. Float f is equal to new float of, if we can provide 2 3 means 2 rows and 3 columns. If we can provide double d is equal to new, it contains the double 2D array contains 3 rows and 3 columns. Now character 2D array, character, it contains 3 rows and 3 columns. And next one means boolean. Boolean C array is equal to new boolean of, it contains 2 of 2. It contains 2 rows and 2 columns. It contains 2 rows and 2 columns. Now, if we can specify the derived data type string str, it contains new string of 3 and 3 because it contains 3 rows and 3 columns. The same array, you can provide the rectangular bracket in front of the data type or in front of the array name. So both the syntax are valid only. So these two rectangular bracket in the left hand side, either you can specify in front of the data type or in front of the array name. This is the way we can able to declare the 2D array. So both primitive and the derived data type we have represented here. So now we need to discuss about case 1, how to declare 2D array, how to assign elements into 2D array and how to read elements from 2D array. So now we need to discuss about, now we need to explore about this particular case. So we will open the IntelliJ tool. So now we need to create a new package. The package is two-dimensional. Two-dimensional array. So in this particular two-dimensional array, we can create a first source file. Before creating the source file, we can close the existing open source file. Now we can create a source file. Dimensional array demo1.java. So the method should contains, the class should contains main method. It is the entry point. Now we need to specify this particular case. The case is in this way. How to declare 2D array and how to assign elements into 2D array and how to read elements from 2D array. First we need to declare the array now. Declare 2D array. So first we can declare int arr of is equal to new int of 2 3. It indicates 2 rows and 3 columns. Assign elements. How to assign elements here? So arr of 0 0, the first element, first row first element is 100, and arr of 0, first row second element is 200, first row third element is 300, and arr of second row first element is 400, and arr of first row second element is 500, first row third element is 600. So once after assigning the elements, if you try to assign extra element, it provides array index out of bound exception. The addition elements either in terms of row or in terms of columns. If we can try to provide additional element, it provides array index out of bound exception. Suppose if we can provide arr of 1, so if you can provide 3 is equal to 700, it should provide array index out of bound exception. It provides array index out of bounds exception. So we have to assign the elements based on the appropriate size. Now we need to read elements. S out arr of 0 0. So first row first column, and first row second column, and first row third column. Similar way, second row first column, second row second column, and next one second row third column. So if we can execute, yes, we can read the elements from the array. Yes, we can able to read all the elements from the array. But one observation here. What is the observation? If array size is 10, number of rows are 10 and number of columns are 10. In this case, how many numbers of lines we need to write? 100 lines we need to write in order to display or read the element from the array. So how we can able to avoid this one? For that purpose, we will discuss case 2. Read elements from 2D array using looping statement. Using looping statement. Now we'll copy this. Now we'll create a new source file. So provide the new source file, 2-dimensional. We can provide D, and this is 2.java, and we're supposed to provide the main method because main is a entry point. First we need to declare the array. Yes, we have declared the array. Declare array. Declare array. Before declaring the array, first we need to specify the case name. The case name is read elements from 2D array using looping statement. So once after declaring the array, we should assign the elements. Once after assigning the elements into an array, next one we should read the elements. Read elements. So in order to read the elements, we should use, because the 2D array contains number of rows and number of columns. So int rows is equal to the array name arr.length. And in order to find the column count, columns is equal to array name with 0.length. What is that particular meaning? Arr of 0 indicates in this array, in the 0 means in the first row, number of elements. Number of elements means number of columns. So in this only we need to find out number of rows count and column count. We can try to print number of rows, that is a variable called rows, and again we can print number of columns. So now we will start reading the elements from the 2D array using for loop. For int I is equal to 0, I less than arr.length and I plus plus. Similar way, because the outer loops always taking care about which one? The reading the elements from rows. So the inner loop is responsible for handling or reading the columns. Int j is equal to 0, j less than arr of I dot length and j plus plus. So the I value is, for first row it will be 0, for second row it will be 1. In this way it's supposed to change. Now arr of I j. So now we need to provide the space for each element. After printing the one complete row of the elements, now we need to apply the new line. Now it was reading the elements in the based on the matrix format. So it was reading 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600. So in this example, we declared 2D array, we are assigning the elements into 2D array, and afterwards we are reading the elements from 2D array. Suppose if the array size is number of rows are 10, number of columns are 10, we have to provide 100 lines in order to assign elements into an array. For that purpose, we will discuss one more case. Case 3. Assign elements into 2D array in the declaration step itself. In the declaration step itself, we can assign the elements into 2D array. How to do this particular one? Yes, we can create one more source file. one more source file, that is Java. Now we need to provide the main method. It is the entry point. We need to specify the case name. What is the case name? Assign elements into 2D array in the declaration step itself. First we need to declare the array. Declare and assign elements. So assign elements. So int is equal to, first we need to provide in this way, and we are supposed to provide each row. Each flower bracket represents one row. Now we can specify the elements 40, 50, 60 and 70, 80, 90. Yes, we have declared the array, and in the same declaration step itself we are assigning the elements into the array. Now read elements. Read elements from 2D array. How we can able to read elements from 2D array? So now we can use for loop. Int I is equal to 0. I less than, what is the array name? arr.length and I plus plus. Into j is equal to 0. J less than arr of I dot length and j plus plus. The outer loop is responsible for rows. The inner loop is responsible for columns. Now we need to print the array elements. arr of I, j. After printing one complete row, we need to apply the new line. Now if we can execute, it prints elements from 2D array for 3 cross 3 array. In the next case, we will explore how to read elements from 2D array in reverse order. Yes, we will create one source file. Public static void main method. First we need to specify the case name. The case is fourth case. To read elements from the 2D array in the reverse order. First we need to declare the array. Declare and assign the elements. The next step, read elements in reverse order. So we can use for loop now. For int I is equal to arr, number of rows in the reverse order, length -1, I greater than equal to 0, I minus minus. So in terms of rows, we need to run in reverse order. Similar way, int j is equal to length -1. In terms of columns also, we need to run in reverse order, j minus minus. So now if we can try to print the elements from the array. After printing one complete row, we should apply the new line character. So first we have declared the array and assigning the elements into the array in the declaration step itself. And we should read the elements in the reverse order. Reverse, with respect to rows, we are reading, and with respect to columns also, we have to perform the reverse order. So now if I can execute this one, so it displays the elements in the reverse order: 90, 80, 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. In the next case, how to read elements from 2D array using for each loop. So we need to create a source file. We need to create a source file. The name is 5.java, and this source file should contain main method. So we need to specify the case name. How to read elements from 2D array using for each loop. This is the case name. First we need to declare the array. So they declare the and assign the elements into the array. We can do it in a same declaration step itself. Now using for each loop. Read elements. So first we need to apply. See this 2D array, each element in the 2D array is nothing but one row. So in the outer loop it will start reading one by one row. The individual row is nothing but a 1D array. So int x colon arr. It means from array we are reading each row. In the inner loop, the elements which are available in val colon x we are supposed to read. So now we can try to print the element val and we try to apply the new line. As soon as if we can execute, it will display in a matrix representation. Yes, it was reading the elements in matrix format. So again we'll discuss. Again we'll analyze this particular program. The 2D array, each element itself is one row. Okay, and again row in turn contains again elements. So as soon as if we can start reading, how it was storing in the memory means the 2D array, it stores each row by row, it was storing the elements. Again with respect to each row, it is storing one by one element. When you can start reading the element from 2D array by using for each, first it provides a single dimensional array. From this single dimensional array, we are reading one by one element. So we have completed about the fundamental 5 cases in terms of 2D two-dimensional array. Thank you. In the next video, we will learn some of the examples on 2D array.